Small Business and Development Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams recently announced a 45 million rand funding to protect local general dealers from competition. SABC News reporter Bulelani Phillip is with the minister in our parliamentary studios to unpack this. Good afternoon, Bulelani, over to you.
Good afternoon to you, Nastasia, and to the viewers at home. Of course, we are coming to you live from our SABC Parliamentary studio. I'm joined by Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. Firstly, the allocation, this multi-million rand allocation for the protection of general dealers, how did it come about?
Well, you will recall that the department has the responsibility to promote entrepreneurship. And at the center of that, as it is explained in the National Development Plan, is that most or 90% of the jobs that must be created in South Africa are jobs that will come from the small businesses. It means, therefore, you look at the different segments of the sectors that you are responsible for. One of the sectors that we have abandoned is the township and rural economy. If you remember when you were growing up, there was a general dealer in your area wherein you'll buy everything. It will be known. It was always men and three sons. I don't know why women were always deprived. Now, what we're trying to do is to bring back that concept of saying in our own communities, we can have father figures, mother figures, young people who are operating the general dealers that provide whatever products that are required in their communities. So it's a way of reclaiming that township and rural economy by ensuring that South Africans occupy that space as opposed to what we see happening currently.
Is this an acknowledgement that the foreign-owned spaza shops are killing those township and rural economies?
Well, foreign-owned tuck shops are contributing to the killing of the township economy, but we also have seen the emergence or the pop-ups by big businesses that are operating or occupying the townships. So it's a way of saying with too big business, we can work together, we have to work together, but you don't have to make sure that you exploit and destroy the small businesses. Remember, if we are saying we're going to be supporting general dealers, they're going to be sourcing food from certain companies, and those are big companies, because most of the people that are producing food, it's big corporates. So how do we learn to coexist together without them going directly to the consumer, but having the general dealer owners that must therefore be able to be the ones that distribute and sell the food directly to the consumer? So we're trying to create that bridge of ensuring that locals participate, they coexist with big business, but they bring products closer at a reasonable price too, because that is important.
Would it be extreme to call for a moratorium on the foreign-owned spaza shops?
Our constitution does not allow for that. Our constitution dictates that anyone can open business or can trade in South Africa. But then within the legal prescripts, if you look at the Immigration Act, it then says for anyone who comes outside South Africa, when they're applying for visa, because that's the first step that recognizes that you are entering into a country. When you give you visa, as you're aware, it's different visas. Now, if you are coming in to do business, that act says at least it should be an investment of 5 million rands that enables you to get a business visa. Now, you're here in South Africa, you did not get a business visa, you came through a work permit or whatever student visa, but you're operating business. Does that make you to be trading fairly and legally? You are not trading fairly. But now, here is a challenge. If government on its own has not set up prescripts that say, for you to run a business, this is what you must do. One of those is ensuring that every business must get a permit if it is official. It must get a permit or a license, which is why now you have seen what the municipalities do by chasing other people away. But they cannot chase everyone because they themselves as the municipalities have not managed to provide or issue these licenses to businesses that are operating in that area, which is what we have identified as the gap as the department. We are in a process, as I'm speaking to you now, we're in a process of finalizing the policy on business licensing, which was an act that was passed in 1991. We're trying to make sure that not only municipalities are given that responsibility, but the department can come in the interest of not only looking at licensing, but also of promoting our local businesses, which is what will be a hullabaloo. I'm sure you're going to be chasing us saying we want control. But reality is that any responsible government should be able to say these different sectors or segments of sectors should be reserved for South Africans. And that's what we are busy with now. We're engaging with municipalities. We have issued the policy. We've gazetted it. People have made comments. Now I stand to receive the report on Friday and take it to Cabinet.
So the 45 million rand, what will it be used for?
The 45 million rand is for stock. People struggle to have stock, as you hear them. Others, they have the old buildings that are there, they're not utilizing them, but those buildings are dilapidated on their own. So we said a particular component, because people need to trade in decent areas, but also, if you are going to deal with food, health inspectors and labor inspectors will be coming. We've got to make sure that those businesses that we are supporting are really compliant with what is expected in the law, which is why we'll be helping them upgrade those that need upgrade to make sure that they meet the basic standards, and also including the systems that they must have. Your POS, the point of sales, when people buy, the storage, which is an issue, refrigerators. People pay attention to on the groceries. Money on the groceries, on the food space, is not only on groceries. It's just a very limited margin. But people or big businesses, they make money through the meat that they sell, the cold drinks that they sell, and this is what black-owned, especially South Africans, are suffering from. So, which is why in the stock we are also to say what aspects work in the field that you are involved in, but also what appeals to your customer, because you should know as a business person what is that your people can buy. So it's a combination of stock, technology, and upgrading of the infrastructure.
How do I access it, and how are you as the department going to ensure that it's fair and equitable?
People apply. SEDA calls for applications for people to submit, and of course the first thing is that because we want to prove that you are South African. So you've got to have a tax clearance certificate, a permit from the municipality, and your identity. Then they go and visit your area, because people claim that they have this what they don't have, which is why I said the upgrading of the infrastructure requires a team to go and see if this structure is proper to be to be supplying people with whatever that you have. Then the stock, we have engaged with the big manufacturers to say we're trying to negotiate what you call bulk buying, so that we can get discounts for our people, so that when they sell, they can earn a profitable margin. All of that, once more, is meant to ensure that our people provide quality food, which is why amongst the interventions, we've set up a task force on counterfeit products to say we should be able to track, because right now, if a child gets food that is rotten from a spaza shop, the person that is penalized is the spaza shop owner who doesn't produce anything, whilst the people who have produced those fake products are not held responsible. So now we're working with different stakeholders, including tracking the barcode that you find on the products. Where was it manufactured from? So that we can deal with the big fishes that hide behind the small fishes that are the ones that are normally caught. That task force is already in functionality. I'm awaiting their report for this quarter, and then we're taking it out, partnering with traditional leaders and the civic organization. But South Africans, please, for once, love your country, protect the interest of and the inheritance of your children. Because South Africans do come and apply for permits to run spaza shops, and they don't run spaza shops. They rent these permits to foreigners who are here illegally at times. Because as I said, there's nothing wrong with a foreigner who's trading legally, but it is the illegality that we are fighting against. Now South Africans become fronters of those. They even come to our department and apply for the support, and then they go and give it away. And this is what we are calling upon South Africans to really love their country and protect the investment. We've seen the high levels of unemployment, and all of those are also meant by the fact that we don't support local businesses.
Lastly, Minister, how far is the Small Enterprise Amendment Bill?
Yippee! If I were to jump, I was going to jump. The President has just issued a statement today that he has signed the bill. So brace yourselves for a new agency, which is made by SEFA, SEDA, and the CBDA. But most importantly, the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombuds. Small businesses have been complaining about them being victimized by big corporates and government. Now they're going to have somebody who's going to represent them and penalize anyone who deals with them unfairly. And this is why we're excited. We are really looking forward to a great year, and certainly South Africans will really support the small businesses, including government that must learn to spend more on SMMEs. As things stand, government spends 1% of the procurement, which is what Minister of Finance has committed to improve, and the President has already given a directive to say, spend more on local businesses. We need to create more jobs for our country.
Thank you so much, Minister. Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams is the Minister for Small Business Development. On that note, we cross back to you, Nastasia, in studio.
Thank you so much to Bulelani Phillip crossing to us from our Parliament studios in Cape Town.